you wanted to say?
Yeah, I do. I guess I just have a real concern that we had a parent come read part of the book that was very uncomfortable, and people wanted him to stop reading it here in an adult meeting. I just have a concern that we're still okay with these books in our schools with children. And as a parent, I feel like we have a county library with libraries all over Collier County where there's access to all kinds of books. But I feel when you're sending your child to school, you shouldn't feel like you have to go through all these steps to ensure your child is protected. You should feel safe knowing your child's going to school. And Mr. Fishbane uses the term the library is a sacred place. Well, as a parent, knowing what's in our media centers, no, it's not a sacred place. Not for my kids. I mean, I would encourage parents to come up here, read from the dais. I think that should be a litmus test. If it's not appropriate for adults here, how is it appropriate for children? And I think that's a serious concern, and I think that should be the litmus test. So parents, come read the books here, and if it's not acceptable here, it shouldn't be acceptable in our schools. And I'm very concerned with your assessment, Mr. Fishbane, as well as your assessment on the video of disruption as well.
Okay, so we
have some serious concerns we need to address.
We've had our board comments. So thank you for that, Mr. Fishbane, and Dr. Patton.
No, I actually have questions about the attorney report as well, if I could, please. Just to clarify, Mr. Fishbane, the cases that you cited are all when the district took books out, right? That were already in and they took them out.
Correct.
Okay. What I'm trying to say is if we have a procedure in place to not allow books in that are not age appropriate, that's not where the problem is, it seems, with the litigation. That takes place when there's books in the library and they're taken out.
But there's no. In other words, boards have often decided based upon what they learn is there, and they get a list of them, and they then want to ban them. But if you're saying about purchasing, sure, that should be part of it, and I believe that's written into our policy that that can be questioned.
So I just want to make sure, too, the ones that you were talking about are high schools?
They were primarily, well, they involved high schools, but in Pico, for example, it wasn't clear whether they were in middle schools as well. But
because I'm trying to get down to...
It's a small school district there, and they noticed that in their high school, 9 of the 11 listed books were already in that library, but they then asked that they be taken out of all libraries in that school district. So that also complicated matters for the Supreme Court.
Okay. I'm trying to get down to if we can determine that something is age appropriate or not age appropriate. I understand when you get to the high school level that can be kind of a gray area, but certainly middle school that goes up to 13, what is your legal opinion on that in determining age appropriateness from a district perspective?
As I mentioned, I think it's also a part of the revised statute out of which we developed our policy that looking at age and maturity are issues that can be considered.
Okay. And just on Dr. Patton's comments on the same, this is what I was actually talking about in trying to get the same manner of attention as the problems, the solution. How are parents going to know about this availability of the library website for their kids?
Okay, so we'll do a couple of things. One that we'll do where we put it on our website to share. We'll make sure that our PTA, PTOs, the SACs know about it because that's generally another whole idea. And then we'll do our blast out to everyone also to be sure that parents do know about the new options that are available. Now, Mr. Fishbane, so I just want to be sure that I think I heard something tonight. We don't have any procedures right now about buying books and that there's a committee that selects the books, and that's what I just heard on the dais, and there is nothing in our policy that talks about that to my understanding.
Our policy is that
textbooks are about
but
our
also
policies.
We talk about the media center, books that are about to be purchased.
It's not in there.
It's in there.
Well, let me rephrase this.
I looked at it before.
There's no any way what it's in there is that what's always been the case, that the school board is always responsible for everything that happens, as am I in the school district.
If a media person proceeds with purchasing something and a parent objects,
That's different. She's not saying that, because the parent doesn't know what the media specialist purchased until it's purchased, and then the child checked out the book, and then they can object to it.
well,
They don't go and they purchase, here's the next new 100 books and it's online, and here, let everybody know. It's not how it works. So,
But doesn't that then go to the potential for banning books?
Yeah, the superintendent can look with what the media person is purchasing and ask questions about it, but one assumes that media has some criteria involved in which they are involved in why they've selected what they've selected.
so let me just make sure, because I don't want to leave tonight in a half conversation. So we in the district look to the media specialist to be the expert, not the principal, not the superintendent. They are the people that are trained. They are certified to know all of those criteria and everything like that. So that is who the district looks. The principal does not sit there and then go over every book. They wouldn't have the inside expertise to be able to look at the 30 books that were chosen. So the media, that defaults to the media specialist. That's one of the things I shared individually with each of the board members, was the idea that we're making sure, because of the conversations this past year, that the media specialists meet 10 times a year instead of just 4, so they can help have those conversations. But I want to be sure it's clear, because that's how our procedures work right now. They are the folks. They get recommendations from kids. They get recommendations from parents, recommendations from teachers, from each other media specialists.
And I would assume that there are also some generalized criteria that they would utilize that would be known, for example, to some of our C&I folks. And so those things become very important then as a structure. I don't think there's anything, Dr. Patton, that if a principal went down to a media center and said, can I see what you're ordering, that's not
No, there's nothing
Right.
not appropriate, but
the expertise
idea,
for purchasing would reside with that person. That's their
correct.
expertise.
So just want to be sure people understand that.
So there's not a
committee
age appropriateness criteria for, if I'm a middle school librarian, I can just pretty much order whatever I want. There's no...
Well, that's where I'm getting
Well,
at.
they use their own criteria for a middle school person, because they have to remember there's an advanced 8th grader that reads on a high school, college level. They also have to know that you might have kids that are still reading on a 2nd grade level. So to find some books that are not See Jane Run and all those, but it's appropriate for a 11-year-old that still is reading at a young content level.
Right, that's all.
Yes, so that is how they
reading,
pick them. They don't just decide anything under the sun.
Topics
Correct.
And,
Why don't we do this? Why
I'd
don't
like to
at
know
a future date?
Yeah.
Why don't we just look at the criteria? If
Yeah,
you're
I'd like to know the criteria.
absolutely.
That's a
We
good
can look at
point.
the criteria.
If I could just add, though, that we did a presentation with the new website when it came up with the legislative context. I think it would be really helpful just to show the website at the board meeting. We have a lot of parents now
We can
watching
do
the
it
meetings.
even next Tuesday also.
Yeah, I think just give it the attention that I think that it deserves. Thank you.